Dude, we're
What's
here.
what's happening?
What's happening?
Oh, just things and stuff. Got my skis all ready to go out for a
Hold
little.
on. What did you do with Lyle Barnett?
Hey guys, I'm Lyle Barnett. I'm real fast. I drive fast things. I'm pretty cool, and I also do custom vlogs and stuff. So this is a little bit about me. Tell me more about you.
I like it. I like it. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody that's joined in, Lyle is not with us tonight. He might swing in, we'll see, but he had a hell of a day, and we postponed to try and get him in the show, but it just was not a good day at home for Lyle. So traveling and all kinds of stuff. So instead, my boy Ryan Wing from Streetcar Chronicles in the house. And we may be getting joined by another North Texan as well here in a little bit to have a special guest. But it's the North Texas edition, aka the white edition of Triple B, because we're covered in white, like crystally, snowy, icy stuff.
Make no mistake about it. The weather outside is frightful.
It is. It is indeed. And as a guy who sings that song a lot during the holidays, it's great. Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you live under a rock, we are experiencing a winter storm that's like going through the South and the Midwest and all this. And so we have been like here. Yesterday it started to sleet last night. Yesterday afternoon, it was a little slippery out, but not horrible. And then overnight it started big. Ryan's about an hour north of me near Denton, and it just has sleeted like until about 4:00 this afternoon, nonstop all day. So it's several inches deep all over everything. So it is pretty lockdown on travel.
Yeah. If you go outside, you got about 8 minutes before you die.
Yeah.
It's pretty bad.
Ryan was built for California weather, actually, not even Texas cold. He was just telling me stories about our last big freeze a couple years ago where he almost died from shivering so hard. I really, really, really cannot wait to hear your wife's side of the story, because I have a feeling it's drastically different than yours.
Well, she wasn't inside me. She can't even begin to wrap her mind around the fear that was going on inside of me. Listen, if you're cold enough that you feel like the only thing that's going to get you warm is urinating on yourself, you're on the cusp of death.
You're on the cusp of death. That's a t-shirt right there. That's totally a t-shirt. I love that. That really is great. I think you should do that one. In the chat, everybody's saying hi. What is Rebel Driver's Garage in the house. Scott Liggett. If you haven't checked out his YouTube channel, check out Rebel Driver's Garage on YouTube. And of course, Streetcar Chronicles on YouTube if you want to see Ryan and his adventures. I will tell you that Liggett, I'm giving Ryan your contact info because he has some questions for you. Square Body Stuff writes Texas is closed.
That's my boy Chad. Yeah.
And he's right. It really is. Like, my street has had one vehicle and 3 dogs go down it today. And Otis was like, not even very pissed at the dogs, because he's like, dude, what are you doing out there? Are you okay? Is your owner a dick? Is he making you walk in this? I say that, and Otis was rolling around in it in the backyard. Like, he thought that was great. So
eating it up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, yes, Texas is closed today. Thank you very much. No. So Scott Liggett is asking if we want to trade weather. Scott is in Nebraska.
That's a hard pass.
That is a 0 stars. Would not recommend.
Appreciate the offer, though.
Yes. Totally.
Solid offer.
Yeah. And MGB Chuck, you can go F yourself. Blue skies, 60 degrees in the San Francisco Bay Area. Yep.
Yeah. That was rude. That was just uncalled for. Thanks.
Yeah. Don't need that at all. Really.
Man wise down. That's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk about a couple of things today. We mentioned this last show 2 weeks ago that I-30 Dragway here in Texas was opening back up.
It is.
But Ryan was there for the I'm going to call it the inaugural event, the inaugural test and tune weekend or what have you.
Yeah, the okay, we're open.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to talk about some street racing and a few other things. But let's kick it off with I-30. So tell us about who's running this deal now, and what people can expect, and then tell us about this weekend.
So the new, if you know anything about I-30, then you already kind of know. If you don't know anything about I-30, I-30 used to be called Red Line Raceway, and it was open for, I don't know, a good 15 or 16 years, maybe a little bit more than that. And it was a really good track, had a pretty good following behind it. And then some things happened. Then it kind of had like a dark cloud over it, and it was closed for a long time. I think Lump was the one that opened it back up a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And got it moving again. And then he decided he was done with doing that. And another guy came in, and he didn't last 2 seconds. And now Brian Thompson has taken it over. And Brian Thompson, he has a podcast called Hometown Hot Rodder. And he actually would do his podcast out of the suites at I-30.
Yeah.
And he would also do some of their live streaming and help with announcing, all that kind of stuff. And it kind of just fell in his lap. And so he is, he's doing everything he can to bring it back to what it used to be, and actually better than what it used to be. And first day, I didn't go the first day. So they did like a 2-day event, just kind of, hey, we're open, come run whenever you want. And just hang out, meet and greet, and kind of get to know the people again. And because, with the track having a good following and then having a bunch of black cloud around it for a while, it's how it is with tracks. You got to have a good relationship with the racers. And, his idea is like, I'm a people person, so I'm going to get out and let these guys know that I'm going to do everything I can to try to give them a good place to race. So they opened up. I didn't go Saturday. I did go Sunday. Me and Jake went out there, and there wasn't a lot of cars out there, but what was there was quality stuff. I mean, you had a Yoshi out there testing. Robert Botello had his 55 out there with some really good street cars, a couple of there's a turbocharged Valiant and some other stuff going on. And track was really good. I mean, for being a brisk day, I think it was in the high 40s and maybe low 50s. Had a real nice 20-mile-an-hour wind, it felt like. And yeah, it was brisk. It was not as brisk as it is right now, but it was brisk. And they had the track working really well. Hooked hard enough to blow a pinion straight out of a 9-inch on a little S10. So I think they broke 2 rear ends out there that day.
Ooh, was it the black S10 that we saw the other day?
No, it was a powder blue one. It had a little Pro Charge big block. Yeah.
The other night when Ryan and I were there for a meeting with the racetrack to talk about the event, the Drag and Drive event we're trying to put on, and there were a couple of cars there that we're not allowed to talk about because they're street racers. So we weren't, and there were no times or any of that, so we didn't know what they ran. But it was cool to see people out there. I think the guys that are running the track and helping with the track are awesome. Like I mean, I don't know these guys well, but I can tell that like the passion and the excitement to do this is there. And they really, really want to make it as fun and cool as they can. And in fact, we sat there, on the starting line and talked for a while, just shooting the shit. And we were all giving ideas. And I mean, they took several ideas from you and I, and we're like, oh my God, that's a great idea. We need to try that.
Yeah.
And I think there's some other stuff they can do. We talked about when we were getting ready to leave. I think that racetrack, if they can do what they want to do, I think it'll have a bright future. And it's great when you drive by. It's funny. We talked about this. It reminds me of XRP, which is also a very successful 8th mile drag strip in Texas, in that it's right on the freeway. XRP is a little closer, but dude, I-30 is still right on the freeway. Big badass lit up signs. I mean, look like $1 million. You can see that place and the lights from it a few miles from the racetrack.
Yeah, it's a great location. I mean, people used to always say, and really, and that's the thing that Brian was touching base on. when we were talking to him is that, people used to say that, oh, it's so far. And I think he even said it too. Oh, it's so far away from DFW. It's really not that far. It's not a bad drive. I mean, I live in Denton. It took me an hour to get there. It takes me just as long to get to XRP. It takes me longer to get to NS,
Yeah. And I my rental house is in Richardson, Texas. And in rush hour traffic, it took me 55 minutes to get there. Yeah. And again, that's rush hour traffic. But it feels like the one downside to this racetrack is that it feels like it's far away. And when I say that, it's because when you leave on 30 from Dallas, you get out of town. Yeah. Like there's a point at which you're out of town and you're in the sticks, so to speak. And then you get back into town and you get to the racetrack. And I think that that's one of the reasons why. But I mean, this place, if you were in downtown Dallas, this place is 30 minutes away. Like it's close, and every bit as close as XRP or NS or any of the other racetracks to Dallas, except the only racetrack that's closer to Dallas is the Gut, Yellow Belly for those that aren't from here. And this is not Yellow Belly. And I'm not bagging on Yellow Belly, but Yellow Belly is total outlaw.
That's its own
different thing.
That's a whole different world, man.
It is.
Yellow Belly is its own thing. Like in a world of drag strips, Yellow Belly stands out by itself, and it has its following, and it's a great track too. It's got a lot of history behind it. But but I-30, man, it's a really cool track. It's a really good track, and they've done some patchwork. There were some complaints about some bumps here and there, and on the beyond the 330, and they've gone in and tried to rectify that and make it better for everybody that comes by and wants to sling it on down through there. But I saw some cars making some pretty hefty passes, and they were doing just fine.
Oh yeah, and that's awesome. I'm glad to see it. The racetrack there. One of the other things I wish I had some pictures of it. Let me see if I can look some up. The one of the other things is that it's a really nice looking drag strip. It's not just that that it's a racetrack in the middle of a field. Like the tower is really cool. Like there's suites and big grandstands that look straight down the racetrack, and then grandstands on each side. The pit area is nice. The tower is really nice, although under some much needed renovations because of a fire. But the place, it's not some dirty, dingy looking joint at all.
No,
like it's cool. And I really think that it's going to be one of those, I think it's going to be one of those things where it could be a great addition, to everybody's racing program that's wanting to race anywhere in Texas. I mean, this place, like you said, it already had a great, history and a great following before. And I hope that they get that back for sure. So,
oh man, definitely. That's the, I think the biggest thing for me, like we used to have North Star up here by me, and to me, Gene was one of the best track owners I've ever known. And he took care of his people. I'll never forget. It's probably 2013, 14, something like that. I had my buddy Greg 68 Camaro out there. We were just testing some stuff on it. We're nobodies. Yeah. Right? Just a little street car, no big deal. But we were on an off night, and we were parked kind of close to the end of the track. And man, Gene walked all the way down there and shook our hand and said, "Hey, thanks for coming out to race on my track tonight."
Yeah.
Well, and I was like, "Hey, thanks for being open."
Yeah, exactly.
But every time he would have an event, he was bringing ice cream sandwiches and giving them to the kids. And when Hollis and them would do their event, they'd get a bunch of Hot Wheels and throw Hot Wheels to the kids and do something. Yep. I mean, and to me that like that, and that's where I like Brian. Brian's a father. He's got young kids, and he wants this sport to stay alive, just like guys like me and you and everybody else. And in a world where it feels like it's kind of starting to die off a little bit, even though racing is thriving, tracks are leaving. And, you need a guy like him, an owner like him, who wants to see something flourish. And
I agree. I
and give
agree.
a
And
place for it to
and
happen.
you've got to be willing to do, you've got to be willing to, what am I trying to say? You got to be willing to put in the effort and to listen to people and be creative, I guess
Yeah.
is the way I would put it,
Yeah.
There is a lot to be said for this racetrack. I'll give you, it's not the smoothest racetrack on the planet, but it is concrete. A lot of it is concrete anyway.
Yeah.
Is the entire 8th mile concrete? I think
Yes.
yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is.
So, they've done some patching and stuff. I would say that, if things go right on this thing, I have a feeling that Brian will be the guy that, in next year and in the off season, they'll have this thing ground and add a few more things to it. But they got to get through this year first.
Yeah.
And have some great events and, put on a show. And I think they can.
Yeah.
So,
you got Dallas
should be
Brown
cool.
from the AHRA in here, and he is hitting it on the head too. Yeah, it's not about the money; it's about building a fan base, giving them something to be proud of.
Yep.
And really, and that's it. And that's, I mean, yes, I grew up Kennedale, Texas Raceway. That was my track. Yep. I went there since I was a little kid, and I felt like that place was my home away from home. And then Denton was my secondary. That was we used to go up to test at Denton in Midnight Madness because nobody would drive, that we street race with would drive from down here to up there, and so we'd race all night testing stuff. And so it was kind of like, it was a balance between the two, but Texas Raceway was always my home. And when it closed the doors, man, it was like I lost a place to go. It's just yeah. So if you can, anything you can do to keep them alive is a must. It's an absolute must.
Agreed. I was trying to share a photo of the racetrack. Unfortunately,
it's not letting you do it.
Well, the only one that I've got here, I was trying to find one of the grandstands and the tower, and because you drive under the tower or under the grandstands to get to the starting line. So yep. I wanted to do that. I will share a screenshot here of looking down the racetrack. So you guys can see here, that this thing it's cool. I mean, got grandstands right here next to the starting line up close, which is great. You're standing right at the wall, which is fun. And then of course the tower over there on the left side, but this shot is from up in the grandstands over the bleacher or over the water box. I mean, that's what's cool about it, So, Brian sent me some others. Hold on. I will.
Yeah. The grandstand is closed right now until they get the tower fixed. But when they get the tower fixed, it will be back open again.
Right. Well, and it's cool because this is a fun racetrack to be at, and you certainly want to be there and be a part of it. So if you get the opportunity, definitely hit it up. And you guys will, you'll have a good time there. I guarantee it. And I said, it's close to Dallas. This is an easy racetrack to get to. So, like I said, we've had discussions with them about our Dragon Drive event, being one of the racetracks. And as I told you, we're working on the sponsors and all of those things. I just had some really good meetings this week at the Media Trade Conference for the Motorsports Parts Manufacturers Council out in LA. And so hopefully here in the next week or so, we'll have good things to talk about. So
it's great.
So pay attention to that. Also, Ryan, you wanted to talk about street racing. It's annoying you. I love rants, but I really like it when somebody else can go on one. So I'm letting you eat on this one. You go on.
Well, so I'm not going to bite my nose off to spite my face. I'll preface this with, as a person who used to street race quite a bit with my buddies. Okay, yes. I don't partake in it anymore. I will go out with Dave if he goes, and I will help him with whatever he needs. But man, I don't know. It's just different now. The breed is different. I know, with times changing, people change, but there is just a lot of crying going on in the street race world. It's that was the kind of the place where, you used to go to. I mean, you would occasionally have a crier or two,
Right.
and they know who they are if they're listening. But it was more of a let's just get out there and get it done. Let's do what we need to do, and let's get it done. And and it seems like the more adding the cameras for the tire crack and all this kind of stuff, it just makes it more. I don't know. It feels like a Jerry Springer show more than anything anymore.
Right. Okay. So it's funny you say that. And dude, I'm getting messages from people who are like, tap me into the show tonight. So, we got more coming. But so along those lines though, I'm with you on that. So when I was street racing a lot, we didn't race for the kind of money you're talking about that a lot of guys do now. Now, with that said, I think we also need to acknowledge that, 90%, 95% of the bets that are supposedly happening are bullshit, right? Yeah. They're not happening. And so guys are claiming that, that they are, doing, that they're, racing for $11 jillion. But the truth is most of the time they're racing for 10% of whatever it says. Right. So usually a $5,000 race is really $500, et cetera.
Yeah.
I'm not saying everybody's that way, but a lot of them are that way. You and I both know it. So the big thing to me is if you are, if you're racing for a couple $100, back when I was racing, what you did was then you raced again for more money, right? Yeah. And I don't mean more like you raced for 500 the first time, you're going to race for 1,000 the second time. I mean, you're going to race again, right? Yeah. For the same, maybe more money, but that was all part of the hustle too. So honestly, I don't think I've said this before, and I'm sorry, this is going to offend some people. Street racers today, not all of them are nearly as smart as we were when we were street racing back in the day. It's funny because you'd think it was more serious now, but it really was more serious to us then in some ways. Yeah. And the reason I say that is I would never, ever have gapped a guy on the street. Ever. If you gap a guy on the street, you might as well put a scoreboard up there with a time slip, you idiot. Yeah. That isn't what you do. Nope. You beat a guy by a fender every single run, or better yet, you lose by a fender every once in a while, right? Yeah. The way you win real money is you bet money, you win money, you bet money, you lose money, you bet money, you win more money.
It was all it was a strategy, dude. It was a strategy back then. And now
100%. Scotty Palmer's in the house. He knows. You take a fender, dude. 100%.
Always take a fender.
That is how you do it. You don't gap a guy. Gapping a guy just screwed you. It costs you more money than you won.
No, I mean, and that's 100% correct. I mean, back when I used to race with my buddy Clayton, it was his truck. I worked on the truck with him, and dude, we took it so serious, probably more serious than we should have. But I mean, it was like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, work on the truck, Thursday, work on the truck, maybe go test, Friday, test, Saturday, race. And, and we rinse, repeat. Right. And it was like it's just kind of just what we lived. And, now, and listen, we were two broke guys. We were 22, 23 years old, like it was like, man, we got money for beer or gas. Which one? Well, let's get a little bit of beer and see how much gas we can get. And, and we had to use a bunch of broke, used parts, whatever. And it just was and we were outgunned a lot of the times. A lot of times we'd come in swinging and knock one out of the park. Hell, we raced the .NET boys. They came up to Oklahoma for the second cash days. We drew them first round. They brought an 880 car, and our truck ran, I don't know, maybe low nines back then.
Right.
And but also too, and see, this is the thing. And I love the way when Barrett was doing the Street Outlaws show. I love that they left the part in there where he talked about how Texas used to always obliterate those guys.
Yes.
Because it's always made to look like they're just the greatest in the world. But there was a time where they left here and we used to go up there, and every time we come up there or they'd come down here, they'd leave with their tail between their legs.
Right.
It was bad, like bad. And it just was a different, but the rivalry we used to have with them was great. It was good. And I see these guys now. I go out to some of these deals with, and a lot of it has to do with Limpy stepping away from it, because Limpy is the man. And he's kind of stepped more to the track stuff and not really handling the street stuff. But it's like, man, every time there's a street race, there's a week long of just Facebook posts of just crying and whining and chest bumping and it's just like, like I remember like some of the guys are talking squat today. I'm like, I remember when you were worthless. I remember when you couldn't get a car to go down the street to save your freaking life, and you're out here beating yourself like you're Billy Badass.
Oh yeah,
like, buddy. The only difference between you then and now is you got your pockets real deep. That's it. You're still the no driving fool you were, and it's evident on a lot of television shows. That's all I'm saying.
Dude, okay, so I love that you say that. So here's the deal. When we used to street race every Saturday night, without fail, right?
Yeah.
Some Friday nights, on occasion during the summer on a Wednesday night, right? I street raced from where I lived to the furthest north that I street raced was 60 miles, okay?
Yeah.
In a 69 Camaro with 456 gears, a 5,500 stall converter, and a power glide. Okay.
Yep.
And so we can talk about dedication to the sport and to everything. And I've said this a billion times. Half of the guys that say they're dedicated to it are not.
No.
You and I have had this discussion. If I had to lose a limb to keep doing what I'm doing, I'm going to ask you if I get to how long I get to choose which limb I'm losing. Right.
Right.
And I'm in that's okay. Right.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, we used to go, my buddy Josh and I would, before we were 21, we would go to pool halls in East Side San Jose that were like the Asian pool halls where the white dudes were not allowed. We would go in there early, like 8:00. Okay. Yeah. And there would be only a handful of people in there. We would go in there because they wouldn't ask questions because we were playing pool, and we would hustle pool. And we would hustle pool and win money until we got chased off. And we would do that. We'd go to a Mexican bar. We'd go to the Asian bar. We'd go to, wherever, okay, over every few weeks we'd be at a different one. And we'd make money to pay for fuel so that we could go street racing, okay? Yep. And so we had money to bet street racing. And we would take my Camaro to his stepdad's glass shop, park it in the glass shop, and then go in the glass truck, okay, his little Mazda with a rack in it and broken windshields in the thing. And that's what we would go and hustle pool in, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was awesome. I'm laughing. I'm laughing at Damon. Yeah. Oh, this greatness. Hold on. I thought he wanted in the show. He was telling me to email him something else. Oh, that's great. Damon, I already emailed you.
See the hardcore part of it. I'll tell you a story. What we did once. Somebody said that we couldn't drive his truck anywhere to race.
Right.
And we used to drive it. We're in the DFW Metroplex, right? So we didn't have to drive far to race, right?
Right.
And so one night, to make a point to everybody, there was a shootout at Wichita Falls. It was at 11 o'clock at night till 3 in the morning or something. They were doing some kind of overnight deal.
Okay.
And
which is how far?
Which is 2 hours and 10 minutes maybe an hour and 50 minutes from my front door here in Denton. And we lived 30 minutes south of here.
Okay. So at least 2 hours, 2 hours and 15 minutes
yeah.
minimum.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this truck had a small block in it. It was like I don't even remember what the compression was. I think it was like 12 to 1. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was a hot little small block, 377 or something like that. And it had a 8-gallon fuel cell in it. And we hopped in the truck and said, hey, let's drive this thing to Wichita Falls.
Yeah.
And when we pull in there, they'll be like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And I said, they're going to think we parked the trailer down the street. And he goes, I don't care. I was like, all right. So we drove that truck. It had like a 5,500 stall in it. I mean, it was, and we drove this S10 all the way there. And we got about 4 miles to the track and we ran out of gas. And luckily we had a buddy following, and my buddy Richie, the guy with the Camaro you rode in, him and his brother were following. And
Richie's a badass.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. They go, man, we'll go get you some gas. So me and Clayton are sitting on the side of the road in the pitch black because it's in the middle of nowhere out there, you know, like there's just no lights. I got a flashlight and I'm just trying to wave people off from hitting us. We get fuel in the truck, go to the track, we make first round, and we kill the alternator in first round. Well,
no.
Yeah. And there were two guys that we were really good friends with. One was his name was Mike, the other one's name was Buddy, and they both had S10s. They were both red. One was a single cab, one was an extended cab. Well, Buddy had gone out. Mike Reed had gone out. No, it was Buddy. Buddy had gone out first round, or he hurt his truck or something. And so he's like, here, grab the alternator off my truck. I'm like, oh, sweet. Well, it was a different setup, so we had to grab his brackets and stuff, right? And so we swapped his brackets around. But he had a cowl hood, and we had a stock hood on ours. And so we couldn't shut the hood because the bracket set up too high. I'm like, dang it. And so we're like, screw it. Just bam, just bent the hood, latched it down, and let it rip. And we made, I think, 2 more rounds. And when we went out in third round, I went over, there's a Circle Track next door to it, and they sold beer. So I went over there and took my cash, and, you know, and I was like, here, give me a dirty 30. You know, this is a rough night. So drinking some beer, having a good time. Well, it's getting time to go. We start driving home, and we get about 5 minutes out of town, and it starts pouring down rain.
Oh, no.
But we're on slicks. I mean, we didn't bring extra tires to change. We drove on the slick through. We just let the air pressure out and race and drove back. So we hit this hellacious storm, no windshield wipers, on slicks. We ended up sliding off the highway into the ditch, and Richie and his brother had pulled over and jumped out before we got stopped just to get behind it and shove it onto the road. And then we pulled into there's a truck stop in Jolly. And we pull in that truck stop in Jolly, and they had a really good breakfast there. So we went inside and ate. I'm like, well, we'll just wait out the rain. We didn't have phones with radars and all that kind of stuff. You know? So it's just like, we'll wait it out. Dude, we eat. Rain's still coming. So we go back to the S10, and we're all just sitting underneath the awning at the gas pump. And then next thing I know, I'm waking up to this lady beating on my window going, you can't park here.
No way.
Me and him passed out. Man, he's 6'4". I'm 6'2". We're in this single cab S10 with a roll cage in it. We both passed out like this. And that lady scared the shit out of me when she came knocking on the window. And so he's like, oh man, he goes to fire the truck back up. And I'm like, dude, it's still raining. So we had to make the trek back going 20 miles an hour. We get all the way to Denton, and we're running out of gas again. And he pulls into a gas station, and he goes, man, my card was declined. I said, what? He goes, my check hasn't gone in from work yet. I'm like, he goes, you got any money? And I'm like, yeah, I got like $30. And I was like, oh, wait, I bought that case of beer with it.
Yeah.
And he's like, are you kidding me? I said, no. He's like, so he ended up looking underneath the seat, and there was a $5 bill underneath the seat. And this tells you how long ago it was, because we got $5 in the tank, and we made it from Denton to the Mid-Cities area where his girlfriend met us with her card and put gas in the truck so we could get back. But that was dedication, man. That was hardcore. You know what I mean? Like, these guys now bringing toter homes and freaking, Proline racing engine, twin turbo jobs. I mean, it's cool, but I mean,
no,
it ain't real.
And I'm with you, because so my Camaro was a stock eliminator car, right? I mean, it's an NHRA stocker. So there's tricks you can do to a quadrajet, which is what carburetor it had to run, and it always did run. The only time that car's ever had a Holley carburetor on it was when we did Rocky Mountain Race Week a couple years ago with it.
Yeah.
So otherwise, always been a quadrajet. Well, the quadrajet is like it idles great. It picks up the throttle real nice, like to do a burnout, and it's great wide open, but it is
Partial
not
throttle
good cruising, like at all. Like
Yeah.
it is just swilling the fuel, right? So we used to take the street quadrajet and the race quadrajet and the 1/4-inch drive ratchet and, you know, and the tools, and literally would drive to a block or so away from the race spot and swap the carburetor
Mm-hmm.
to the good one and then throw the other one in the box in the trunk and drive over to the race spot. I mean, that was, you know, you'd put like 3 degrees more timing in it at the same time. Like, you know, it was marked and it was race time.
Hell
and
yeah.
my 12-second, you know, 69 Camaro somehow beat a lot of 9 and 10-second cars for years and years and years.
Consistency.
So, you know, and guys who, you know, swear their junk makes 11,000 horsepower when it doesn't, you know.
You know, and that's the thing. Like when me and Clayton used to get a game plan together, our game plan was always consistency. If we could get the truck to run the same number or close to it on the track or on the street that it would do on the track, then that was the tune-up we were running with. We didn't care what we were racing. And the night that we raced that car out of the .NET Boys camp, I mean, I don't know what tune-up they had in that car, but I know what we had in the truck, and it was not. But back then, it was a chase as a race, too.
Yeah.
You know, they always act like, oh, we don't do the chasing. Now, it used to be chase as a race. That was our rule. And there was no tire crack stuff, none of that crap. It was if you left.
The problem is that the tire crack stuff.
I'm so over that.
I hate that too, because I know that street racing and drag racing are not the same.
Sure.
But, you know, your reaction time is based on the car moving, not the crack of the tire, right? Yeah. So I hate the crack deal, but it is what it is.
Yeah. I mean, it is what, I mean, I get it. I understand why they implemented it, but on the flip side of it, you know, the chases of racing, you know, JJ the boss kind of made the chases of race thing a little goofy, but you know,
we had chases a race. Yeah. Ours was if you left with a guy because you almost can't not, right?
Yeah.
If the dude next to you leaves, you're leaving.
Yeah.
But if you immediately get out of the throttle, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Then it wasn't a chase. Right.
No.
But if you chased him down, then it was a race. If you left the starting line but immediately lifted off the throttle, you won. That guy red lit, you know, that was fine. But and for us, like, I mean, that's how it always was. And there were, I mean, I started street racing in the 90s. So we didn't have all the drag radials and everything we have now. You had ET Streets. BF Goodrich did have a drag radial, but it was junk. Like, you wouldn't have wanted to try and drive it on the street. Right. We all ran ET Street, bias ply Mickey Thompson, 28 1050s is what we ran. Or I just ran a 930-15 slick on the car because that's what it ran in stock eliminator.
Yeah.
Rebel driver's asking where my street eliminator engine is. Stock eliminator is what you mean. It's in the garage, actually. So, that engine's still here. Iron heads, iron intake, quadrajet, you know.
Yeah, that's
camshaft, and otherwise it's just blueprinted, you know. So
yeah, and that's I love the stock eliminator stuff. That's if you would have looked at the engine that we had in Clayton's truck. I mean, to be honest with you, one of the engines, there was 2 engines usually that would go in the truck, one depending on what race was going on where, but one of them actually came out of a wingless sprint car.
Oh yeah.
His granddad was a sprint car guy. So they were dirt track motors.
Hell yeah.
You know, and it was just all old school technology. You know, the motor would spin. I mean, he'd sit there and flat footed it, hit 9,800 on the tack. Boom, like that, you know. It wouldn't make crazy power, but it'd spin high, and that thing would run like a mother when you throw some juice through it. But it I don't know, and it's probably, it's like I was telling somebody the other day, it's probably part of my problem with the whole street racing thing now is that part of it is I don't know all the people that are in it now. Like Dave knows a lot more of them than I do.
Right.
I knew the group before, so that's probably part of it. But the other part of it is it's just, I don't know. We used to do things, you know, we all had grudges against one another because we wanted to know who was faster. but it was not really like I hate that guy. There was a couple of guys I didn't like. They went away. A couple of them somehow came back and they're accepted now. It's a weird deal, but you know, it was just a good time. It was probably the best times that I ever had when it came to an automobile. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good time.
Well, I'm with you. And Rebel Driver's asking if we ever dynoed that engine. No. The now stock eliminator stuff, like that car ran H and I stock automatic, you know, and that would be, I mean, that car would run 10s now in that car.
Yeah.
Oh, look at this.
Oh,
look at this beautiful bastard.
Just trying to get my beard all. I got to get it all in the same deal.
See, I just got a good comment about my beard from my buddy Blake here. He got from Bad Tree Productions, and then you come in here and just run my beard. I mean, your beard is majestic.
I try.
Majestic.
It is majestic. Does it have its own name?
No, it's just the beard.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I call mine
the one and only Barrett Green in the house. Big Hat Mafia. If you don't know, you should know that you need big hats. When it's summertime in Texas or anywhere else, you need a big hat. It will save the skin and the money maker, and it keeps you cooler, and it's great. And Big Hat Mafia has it does make you cooler. That's true. And he has badass hats. So check him out at the racetrack or online. Either way. But Barrett, did you hear we're talking street racing? Were you hearing some of that?
No, I literally just got inside the house from delivering food all day. And
oh, nice.
Yes.
You've been driving around in the ugly weather.
Yes. Actually made it on the news.
How?
I saw that. They got your name wrong though, right?
Yeah, I know.
What happened? Tell me the story.
Well, there's apparently a videographer or whatever that's local to Justin, and his wife sent him up to the store, and he was like, well, hey, I'm going to go back and get my equipment, and I'll come and do a story on y'all. And
Very nice. So tell everybody what the story is.
So it is Jennifer's store.
Hey, Jennifer.
As Onyx kissed me right in the mouth. It is a deli, and it's called the Mercantile. So, do like boar's head sandwiches and all kinds of stuff, and take and bake meals, and you can get like fancy tea, and just I'm trying to figure out where my cameras are there. A whole bunch of stuff, just whole bunch of shit crammed in a little 800 or 900 square foot building.
The Green family is the most creative of my group of friends. You guys are the most creative people I know.
We try.
They do more.
Yeah.
Like they just keep doing more. I feel like such a sloth around Barrett because he's like, oh yeah, the 16 businesses that I have, and then my wife, who's the brains of the operation, has 74.
Yeah, well, I mean, my dumb ass yesterday, it was kind of busy, and I was like, hey, why don't you make a post and I'll deliver. That was bad.
Yeah, you screwed up.
Yeah.
So the reason you were so busy today is because of the weather and nobody wanted to get out. So instead they order food delivery, putting your life at risk while they sit in the comfort of their own home.
Yeah. So it was me and the Spark, and we put in some work. I only spun out 7 times at 10 miles an hour. Is the craziest shit ever. I did have one very, very close call where I was going 10 miles an hour again, and I was actually talking to some people on the hands-free device. And the problem with the Spark is it's narrow, so I can only be in one or the other groove.
Right.
And next thing I know, it sort of does this number, and I'm like, oh man, as a truck is coming in the opposite lane, and I don't know how I didn't just hit him right in the back bumper.
Dude, you beat death today.
Yes. You almost
tried.
died.
And just so it's Facebook official, I did not ask him to do this. This was his idea.
You heard it there first, folks. He almost killed himself with his own idea.
Yes.
Yeah, almost. I was just like, that's the last thing I need is to wreck this shit, and then she'd be like, well, I mean, he was the one that signed up for it.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, that's never a good place to be.
No.
Hey, before I forget, before we go on some other tangent, so Barrett, tell us about 2023 and your racing endeavors. What's happening?
As far as me personally, or like
Everything
Doomsday,
you're
or
doing, putting on, etc.
so for like 23, I'm actually gonna like it's not really take a step back, but like I'm gonna do less announcing and more vending.
Excellent.
So what I kind of got myself into was, hey, I'll come to your race and announce. Just let me bring my, pay me, and then let me bring my booth. Well, that kind of sticks me around till 4 o'clock in the morning, and the kid's like, all right, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
He is a good salesman, but Big Hat Mafia is me. It's not, Robert.
Right.
So I'm
So
still
you're gonna
doing all
focus
the.
more on that. But you're doing your race still, right?
Yeah, so I'm doing my race. I'm still doing all the duck stuff, still doing stuff for, Plotkin and them, and then some other events that, people I've worked with before.
So tell everybody what your event is and when is it?
Well, it's the Texas Radio Roundup. And, Mr. Chadwick, we need to get back together to get some talking and get you on board over there. We basically have a class for just about anybody other than a big tire car, but I would let a big tire car run on the track just to see what shakes loose, because something's coming loose.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I can tell you that last year I was at the event, just having fun, helping out my buddy Justin Martin, who won the event in LDR, and we had a great time. Besides winning, it was just fun as hell.
It was almost real rocky with the parking situation, but that was the least problem that he had, and it turned out to be fine.
And it was the event was great. It ran really late, but that was not anybody's fault. It just was some circumstances. Anyway, it was awesome though. Great performances. People were having a good time. If you want to win, I'm going to say it, the coolest trophies, like giveaway prize pack in drag racing that doesn't involve giant stacks of cash. Barrett's race, dude. Custom whiskey boxes. Like it was rad. So you gotta come. This is a great event.
We've stepped it up this year. I'm trying to get the okay from the Motorplex to do what I really want to do.
You told me we're talking about the woohoo, right? Okay.
But so there's some licenses and some other stuff, but I think I might just end up doing it anyways, and you just got to get with me after the event.
That's fine.
So
you can beg for forgiveness later.
I mean, we do run in some questionable circles, so there's a couple questions I got to ask you before you win your prize, if you know what I mean. So
fair point. I didn't think about that, but that's a good point, Barrett. Yes. I'm sorry.
Surely.
We're going to need to ask a few qualifying questions before we can hand you your trophy
prize.
Because they're awesome. So dude, that's greatness.
Yeah, the Texas Radio Roundup is awesome. If you have not been, get your ass to the track. It's going to be awesome.
I mean, and it really comes from, Michael and I, we've been doing this, I don't know, this is probably going to be our 20th race or something.
Right.
And the main thing is we never had a checkbook to promote with.
Right.
We always had to promote to get the people there to, get it going. And that sort of, changed kind of the way that we learned how to do stuff. And, you go to, like Lights Out and stuff like that. And you see that, it's cool to win the money, but everybody wants a Stetson,
Right.
I heard a story about a guy that won, I want to say open comp, and he had tried and finally won. And then, like a year later had some bad health and actually was buried with his Stetson that he won at Lights Out.
That's awesome.
So, it's that type of stuff. Like the money, it's gone.
Yeah.
And the big checks, we do like to do the big checks. They're cool. You hang it up there, but I'm sure Red just still walks by his little whiskey set and is like, I'm gonna get me one. Let me pour up a glass here.
Yeah, that was cool. And I don't know if Barrett, if you know why else that one was special. So that was the first event that Red's mom had ever been to where he was racing. What, like, since he's raced the, you know,
Yeah,
the
the big,
legit car, right?
yeah.
The big
Mhm.
car, right? So like she's only been to like local events and this and that. She'd never been to any big events with him ever until that weekend.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so to be there when he won, and it just made the whole thing like
That's
super
awesome.
cool. So yeah, it's very, very good. So go to your local racetrack. If you're in North Texas, come to Texas Radial Roundup. It's at the Texas Motorplex. You know, support your local drag strips. Thursday nights, Yellow Belly. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every other drag strip in the Dallas-Fort Worth area has got something going on most of the year, including now. Like, I think XRP's open.
Yeah, they were
this
testing
weekend.
last weekend.
Yeah. So, you know, I-30 was open this last weekend. So there are racetracks and they are open and you should come and visit them. Whether you bring your car or not, you know, do it. And you know what? I've told this too to other people. If you're a hot rod guy and you're like, man, I don't really care about taking my car down the racetrack, but you like cruising your hot rod, buy a tech card. Like, it doesn't matter. Cruise your hot rod in, pay the $20. You'll get the best VIP parking available right in the pits, and your car will sit there and look cool next to everybody else's race cars. And it, you know, it's going to cost you $5 or $10 more than just a spectator ticket. But you're supporting a drag strip, you're supporting a promoter like Barrett, and you get VIP parking. It's the very best parking you can get. And if you want to, you can go through tech, get your tech inspection done, and hell, just make the couple of qualifying hits and then hang out and drink beer with your buddies. I mean, that's like the perfect deal.
Yeah, it's the perfect venue. You're surrounded by your people.
Yeah,
it's a Starbucks parking lot with you and your other buddy and a bunch of people driving EVs and drinking macchiatos, you know?
Yeah, I mean, and too, like, what's awesome about the Motorplex is, you know, they have events, you know, all the time. And it's, you know, for a while they were just test and tune and the nationals. And then they realized we need to do some other stuff, you know? And, you know, I like to go out because I like to sell it, but, you know, they have Whip Fest, and that is just absolutely out of control.
If you like big wheel racing, that's nuts. They got truck events. They got all kinds of bracket events.
Texas Truck Jam coming up. That's going to be fun. And I mean, they're getting a good diversity of promoters and stuff in there. And, you know, we like working with the Motorplex and stuff, and, you know, they like working with us, and you got to have something for people to race.
Absolutely. Okay. So back to the street race thing. This just made me think of it when Ryan said this.
See, Barrett's OG, he knows.
Oh, I know. So we were ripping on street racing a little bit a while ago, because everybody's such whiners nowadays and stuff, and they do it wrong. But besides that, is there anything less like badass street racer than a dude standing there with a Starbucks cup in his hand? I mean, I'm sorry, but dude, like, I don't care what's in your cup, okay? But for the love of God, get a Buc-ee's or a something, a Carl's Jr.
Well, but the
like,
question
for the
is,
love of God, just not a Starbucks.
It's not a Starbucks.
The question is, you know, it's at the street, so it's usually at night. Bro, how long you had that cup? That's what I want to know.
Like, right.
You know, it's 3:00 in the morning. You're still sipping on Starbucks. Like,
did you get that when you went to lunch with your wife and got your mani pedi? And like,
hey,
what? I mean,
I gets down with the pedicure. Don't be knocking on the pedi.
Okay, because I posted on Facebook. I got a pedicure a couple months ago, and it was badass. I know, but I'm still gonna make fun because I can.
Yeah, and, you know, they're gonna be rubbing on your feet, talking a bunch of shit, but it's whatever, you know.
Yeah. Well, I had it done one time. I can't do it. I won't let anybody touch my damn feet. I ain't let my wife touch my feet.
Okay.
And that lady kept looking at her friend going, oh, underneath her breath. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's because I got long toes. The ones next to my big toe, they're longer. It looks a little weird. I don't want to talk about it anymore. Can we change the subject?
I'm just gonna keep adding to the list of things you should get printed on shirts.
Yeah.
Dude, Ryan's. I'm sorry, my toes are weird.
I'm sorry.
It's great. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah, but no, like Barrett. So Barrett's been around since the what I call the good times of the street racing before it became.
I mean, like it's people are like, oh, this, that, and the other. Like, look, when I was into street racing, was in high school, and I was like the only one.
Right.
I went out, and it was a bunch of grown dudes that were street racing and stuff, and it's
I've known him since he couldn't grow any hair on his face.
Yeah, I just had like a little weak goatee.
Yeah. Yeah, and his name on the board was Dr. Woo Woo. I'll never forget that. That's the only way I remember you.
Well, what's funny is how many people, I've been around, right, for a while, and how many people didn't know, or wondered, like, after the show came out, why are you called Woo? And I'm like, you're new here.
Boards. Yeah. You're new here.
At one time, we had aliases.
That's right.
Yeah, okay, because that's the other part. Like, you didn't tell everybody who you were. You didn't run the real license plate on your car. Like, you didn't do it. You wanted all the deniability.
Yeah, unless we knew each other from our group, everybody knew Clayton is Fifth Cycle.
Yeah,
it was Woo. I was Hippie Wagon. Like, it was just everybody had their own handle.
And you would call somebody by their real name, like 2 or 3 times, and then they wouldn't answer, and then you'd be like, Woo, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So Lycan Cat says, about half the time that's not Starbucks in my cup. It's a good hiding spot for whiskey. Well, you know what?
We all know what's going on.
Yeah, I would worry about you Lycan and like driving or whatever if you weren't a blind guy. Like Lycan is legitimately a blind guy, so he's allowed to drink in public anytime he wants.
That's right.
Driving. I don't care. Drink up.
Have you seen the guy that makes the eggs that's blind?
No.
On TikTok? Oh my God, it's great.
I need to get the TikToks.
Well, it might not be TikTok, but it's a reel or something, whatever the technical term is. But he's like, I'm making eggs, and like the camera's over here, and he's like talking, and it's like he's like, how do they look? He's like, I can't see because I'm blind.
That's awesome.
I love it when people can just be comfortable with what they got going on and can make good times out of it. It's good stuff.
Oh, dude. My boy Dan Parker, who is currently the world's fastest blind man, unassisted 206 miles an hour or whatever. He has all these great ones. He does these really funny Facebook posts where he started years ago doing these. He's like, well, Jennifer left for 3 days, and I decided I was going to listen to a how-to video on making pizza at home. And he tells this whole story about the shit going bad, and Jennifer gets home and is like, "What the hell have you done?"
It's like a crime scene.
There's a glimpse of truth in the thing, right? There is somehow something real about this. But it's absolutely awesome. Yeah, it's absolutely awesome. Like,
so
stuff that comes
you might be able to let shed some light on this or not. But I heard a story about Mr. Dan that when he went to, I guess, the Salt Flats.
Yep.
The first time, nobody knew that he was blind.
Correct.
Yeah. Until after he made a pass, right?
Yes. So, I believe he told them in for the checkout runs and stuff, I believe. But he, in order to run at Bonneville, you have to be a licensed driver. Like, you have to have a state driver's license. And Dan does. He has a current and valid driver's license. I am not going to say which state, but I can tell you that his state that he is licensed in does not require you to read the written test in order to renew your driver's license. You can get it verbally. And so he may or may not have walked up with sunglasses on, holding hands with Jennifer, and just stood there at the counter with his sunglasses on while the lady read him the questions. Which
Yeah, and so
got 100%.
Loans, I think it was Loans that was telling me about it. And he even prefaced it. He was like, like there's some truth in here somewhere, but like they didn't even know he was blind. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yes, Lycan is asking, says Dan lost his sight later in life, right? Not born with it. That is correct. Dan was in a pro mod car and crashed and had a traumatic brain injury that resulted in total blindness. Yeah. So he has there's no shadows, there's no dots, it is purely black. And that's how it was when he woke up from the crash. So but Dan is a hell of a dude. He's a machinist to this day. He machines stuff. He puts up videos of him being at somebody else's place he's never been to, and the dude is like running a mill, a Bridgeport and stuff, feeling this and touching that and doing the thing.
So
my arm off and I can watch it. Like
the audio feedback in the car is derived from the machinist or the machine stuff, right?
Correct. Yes. So Dan has a guidance system that a friend of his designed that's all GPS based. And it beeps. It makes a tone in his ear on the side that he's going to, or I don't remember which way it is. But it's like, oh, you're off track, and it beeps at him. He's like, oh, okay. And the tone, the intensity of the tone changes, which tells him like he's really going off or whatever.
Yeah. Little to the left.
Let me put it to you this way. He's drag racing now. He has a Corvette that they had to put a C4 Corvette that they had to put a transmission in because he literally was making like 100 drag strip passes a day. He would race down the drag strip, make a U-turn, race back down the drag strip, make a U-turn, going back and forth to perfect the guidance. And with any luck, he's going to be joining us and racing on one of Rocky Mountain Race Week's events. So,
oh man, dude, that would be amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's,
dude, where there is a will, there is a way,
dude. And he is such a badass. Like he is legitimately such a badass. It's great. He's such a good dude. So it's fun. The Lycan says, yeah, I was born with it, but he says the approach is different, but the humor is the same. And and dude, I love you for it. It's great. Lycan has actually asked. He's an audio engineer, and so he actually asked me if I needed help for an audio engineer. He would come and do live streams with me, and come be the guy doing the audio. That's how hardcore he is about doing it. It's awesome. Like super good dude. So thank you, Lycan, for joining in all of the time.
I have a thing with eyes, right? Like,
okay.
And so if you're like, hey, meet so-and-so, and dude's got a little, like a floater, and you didn't tell me about it, I'm gonna be like,
oh, no way.
Yeah, the whole time. And so like, I've met some blind. Yeah. So you know where I'm getting at, right?
Yeah.
And like, I'm talking to them, and I know they can't see me, and I'm just like, the whole time, like trying to, because they just kind of just hang around,
Yeah.
That is hilarious. I love it.
Yeah, because it's just like, because I think it's the one of the D's.
ADHD.
Yeah, where I'm just like following, like, what are you looking at? I'm like, oh, yeah, forgot.
Yeah.
Squirrel.
Dude, Lycan says, I wonder if I could drive like that without having driven ever before. Dude, I don't know, but I want to try. This is great.
Yeah.
I'm willing to see, this would be great YouTube video. Get in a big giant car, lots of padding, let your blind buddy drive. Like,
oh yeah, I'm all about it.
Right? In like a middle of a big circle track or something. Like
there is we just came up with a new race.
Yes. If we do it, so it would be great if you had
somebody get cheeseburger in here.
And guys that can see but are blindfolded and see which ones do better getting full instruction from their co-pilot. Oh yeah, it'd be great.
That would be great.
It would be.
I feel like I just was a part of something groundbreaking.
Yeah.
revolutionizing.
Okay, Lycan, this is going to be the last Lycan comment I say, but it's awesome. It says, my eyes look like I'm high all the time. I've been asked at raves where they could get what I'm on. I love that, dude. I love that. Oh, God. Oh, that's so priceless, dude.
Epic.
Well, I have to say that that I know we will definitely have trouble follow us and fun follow us wherever we go. The three of us, I mean.
Yeah.
So where is it that we expect to be seeing each other next? Well, your race for sure, Barrett.
Yeah. You and I probably lights out.
Yep.
And Ryan, he might come over for a booty call. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends. I am a little low on cash. I got a 55 to build.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
But he did buy parts from it for it at the auction.
I did buy something.
What did you say about that, by the way?
Yeah, no.
Oh,
yeah.
That was probably the biggest thing you could have bought without a car to go with it.
I still feel pretty solid about the purchase. I think it was great. Yeah. It's taking up a lot of space. It is a bit of an eyesore. It's fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
You just tip it up on its side against the fence. It'll be
sure.
Fine.
Yeah, she'll give you a bunch of shit, but like the first time you like take a ride in it, it'll be all right. Like
right, yeah.
I bought my station wagon back, I think a year ago, but it was like dead of summer, and I put a water pump in it as soon as I got it, and it needed to put a radiator and a thermostat in it apparently too. So I just like quit driving it, and then now my truck's in the body shop, so I was like, shit, guys, I got to work on it, and I drove it one night, and I'm like, damn. I forgot how cool this thing is to drive.
What
you talking about your Vic? Your Crown Vic?
Yeah, the Crown Vic. Yeah, it's an 86.
Yeah, okay, I thought so.
Yeah, like we drove it to, it was me, my wife, and one of her employees. We went to the Lunar New Year Festival in Grand Prairie Sunday, and we're just cruising down 360, and people are like, the whole time whenever we're driving.
Everybody wants to check you out if you're in the big wagon.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I went in to get something for Jennifer to drink one time at Quick Trip, and I guess there were some guys checking it out, and she goes, I thought for about a second that they were checking me out, and then they're like, nah, they're looking at the car.
No, you tell her they were looking at her going, man, look at that hot
No,
cool
that's what
car.
she said that.
I know.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, tell her she's wrong. Yeah.
See, if I was smarter, I should have been like, don't be looking at my rides, but
Yeah.
See? Get your eyes off my rides.
Yeah. But no, I'm not that smart sometimes. Usually pretty good, but not that good.
We can't all be geniuses, man.
Right. All right, boys. Well, it's 7-11. We've been on here for that's cool actually. It's 7-11. We've been on here for like an hour and 10 minutes. Barrett, thank you so much for joining in at the end of tonight. That was fun. We will talk later for sure. Stay safe tomorrow. It's supposed to be ugly in the morning and get better in the afternoon. It's supposed to rain but warm up a little bit.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You guys don't go dying on me, okay?
Yeah, no dying. We got a no dying policy, okay?
I try my best.
Neil, Barn, Lycan, everybody, Chuck, all of you guys that joined in, Josh, thank you so much. Appreciate all you guys for being on the show. Next Monday, the 6th, I believe it is, I will be on the sit rep with Josh and the gang. So that's going to happen next week. Look for an announcement on my Facebook page on that one. We have a new episode next week of Power Shift next Thursday as well. And so that'll be happening. Actually, no, that might be this Thursday. Disregard. It's this Thursday. I can't keep my Thursdays straight. So we'll see you all in a couple of days. But Ryan, thank you so much for joining. If you have not already, check out Streetcar Chronicles on YouTube, where you can check out the Tri-5 auction that Ryan and I went to, where he popped his own cherry and bought his first thing at an auction. It's all downhill from here. Yeah. I know, right? Isn't that weird to you, Barrett? Like, Barrett and I auction veterans.
Yeah,
And so
I love me some
it
auctions.
was so weird to me that you had never been to it. Dude, Ryan was like, at the beginning of the auction, he's like, man, I'm so nervous. I'm like afraid to even nod. Like they'll think that's a bid. I'm like, dude, you have to really get their attention. It's not like that. I said, if you're being subtle, you've already told the dude you're going to bid on item number 5 or whatever. And then you can do the, the nose scratch or whatever. But then I just went and bought a cabinet, a tool or a hardware cabinet and showed him how it was done. And so, so then he was like, okay, it's good.
Was there some competition on what you were bidding on, or were you just like,
I didn't even get that far. There was a car that I wanted, but it was a little like 36. It was probably like 30 cars in. What you say by the time they got around, maybe right around there. But I saw how guys were bidding on the other ones before it that were kind of shitty, and I was like, I'm not gonna spend that kind of money if that's the way it's gonna go. So there was a chassis. There were 2 chassis sitting next to each other. One was a California box chassis for like a 57 Chevy, and the other one was a 2-piece box chassis. And the California one went for, what did it go for, like $700?
Yeah, it was $700.
And I was like, good God Almighty! And then they go to the next one, and nobody was bidding, and they kept dropping the number, and I just was like, 125. And
literally, I'm standing like barely behind him, and the auctioneer is behind us, and the callers are in front. And I literally was about to raise my hand and start the bidding for him because I knew he wanted to get it, and I was about to do it and go, it's you. But he did it, and I was like, yes, okay, we're good, all right.
Yeah, and I guess it was towards the end. Not really sure how that all works, but I guess it was kind of towards the end. They were like, sold, and I was like, yeah. Yeah, it's mine. Don't touch my frame. Don't touch my frame. Mine.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what it is. Like if you don't get like a little like heartbeat increase.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, then you shouldn't be there.
Yeah.
Because the auctions are awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had a good time.
I can't wait to go to another one and get more stuff I don't need.
Yeah.
There you go. It's the name of the game.
Yeah.
Well, cool,
all right,
fellas.
boys.
I'll holler at you.
I really appreciate it. Thanks, Barrett. Have a great one.
10-4.
Everybody else
bearded buddy.
there, thank you so much for joining us. And we love you guys. We appreciate it. And we will see you all next time on the next Triple B. See ya.
Later.